Hi, I'm Natanis Pai.
And I'm Solomon Sear.
We're your hosts for In the Loop, a show produced by the Indian Communication Arts Program at the First Nations University of Canada.
Today we'll bring you a story about exotic dancers. And no, it's not what you think.
We'll also be featuring a story about a Guatemalan artist who's currently a student here at the First Nations University. So stay tuned because we'll be keeping you in the loop.
Graduation time is upon us, and for some grads, it can be very expensive. There's a new program in Regina called Adopt a Grad. Annette Ermine has more.
It's a day students dream about for a long time. Girls are transformed into Cinderella and guys become the prince. Adopt a Grad is granting students their wish to shine on one of the most important days of their life.
I just think it's amazing, like so many kids can get helped from this program, and I think it's really, really good for all the kids that are graduating because it's really hard and really expensive for some kids to afford. So it's really, really good.
Sarah Longman is the woman making graduates' dreams come true. She's a consultant by day, and at night she's running Rcmp Incorporated. The nonprofit organization helps students cover the cost of their high school graduation. Longman says the need is huge here in Regina.
I started talking to a lot of guidance counselors in our schools, many of our teachers, our school administrators, and found that there were a number of our kids in the city who did not participate in the grade 12 ceremony because they couldn't afford to.
Since March, Longman has helped almost 30 students walk down aisles with pride, something the students really appreciate.
I feel like crying. It totally made me throw my budget plan out the window because I was living paycheck by paycheck to pay for grad.
Since graduation symbolizes years of hard work, they deserve the night they will remember for the rest of their lives. And this is what it's all about. Adopt a Grad has helped many students here in Regina shine on one of the most important days of their life. 12 years of hard work is captured in the smiles of these students' faces and on the faces of their family members. Annette Ermine reporting for Inca News, Regina.
Welcome back to In the Loop. I'm Solomon Sear.
And I'm Natanis Pai. First Nations people are moving forward to self-governance. Policing is an important part of that, as Jesse Robson explains.
Rain or shine, File Hill's police officer Dale MacArthur does his daily patrols. He is part of Saskatchewan's only First Nations police service, located in this community near Fort Capel.
For the most part, a lot of people are more accepting of a First Nations police officer. We also use and encourage the cultural aspect side of resolution within all the First Nations communities out here.
MacArthur, an ex-Rcmp, says having an officer from the same culture is having an effect on the number of arrests.
More so in the past few months, I've noticed that I've been arresting less, and I've really been focusing on helping the family deal with the situations themselves.
Recently, an agreement has been reached with the federal and provincial governments to give File Hill's police service complete authority. The police department is working with local officials to bring the community and law enforcement closer together.
I think with the signing of the agreement just kind of brings it all together. Now I would hope, this is what I would hope, that the difference would be is that the officers then would work directly within the communities, more in the prevention areas and connecting with our youth.
Officer MacArthur understands that preventing crime before it happens is an important element of policing a close-knit community. He also feels the File Hills Police Service is having a positive impact.
File Hills First Nations Police Service is being well received among community members. The police feel that their ties will only be strengthened as time goes on, especially now that they are Saskatchewan's first ever self-administered First Nations Police Service. In File Hills, keeping you in the loop, I'm Jesse Robson.
Speaking of police, there's a new Rcmp Heritage Center that opened on May 24th. It was formerly called the Rcmp Museum. Our Joey Bear went to check it out.
When you enter the new Rcmp Heritage Center, you see a lot of history, including First Nations culture.
We're honoring the story, and we're doing it in ways that we understand better how to tell the story and how to involve the community.
Involving the First Nations community has been very important for Vic Heward. He says the center worked closely with the community to ensure its history was told correctly.
It's really important to us that we make sure our visitors understand that story, so we're going to be working with the elders to create some language and add some extra explanatory plaques so that people, when they see these artifacts, understand how important they are and the spirits that go with them.
The exhibits range from Chief Sitting Bull's bow and arrow to an Rcmp rider. Some of the exhibits need special care. The center is also consulting the First Nations people to help maintain the displays. For the public, it's helping spread awareness.
It's definitely impressive. It's interesting to read about the history and how it goes back so far. And
it's watching the kids and our visitors in here. That's what's most special for me.
From the past to the present, First Nations people have been a part of the Rcmp story. So if you live in Regina or just visiting, come check out the Regina Rcmp Heritage Center. This is Joey Bear, and you're in the loop.
Soon, Aboriginal people will have a whole month to celebrate their heritage. It's a big step forward for First Nation people. Natanis tells us more.
Every year, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people celebrate National Aboriginal Day. It's a chance to share their culture and have pride, but some thought one day wasn't enough. Jolie Big Eagle is the president of the Regina Aboriginal Professionals Association. For 2 months, Big Eagle campaigned for June to be Aboriginal History Month. She got the idea from a commercial she saw on Much Music about Black History Month.
And it was a really powerful message that they sent to me, you know, about Black people being proud of their history. And I thought then, well, why didn't we have something like that?
Big Eagle got what she wanted.
We are a distinct people, you know, and we should need to celebrate our culture and our history.
But not everyone in the community is happy about this new dedication.
You know, there is some question as to why Aboriginal people should think they're so special.
But others think Big Eagle is on the right track. Shawnee Pete is the Vice President of Academics at the First Nations University. Pete says Aboriginal culture and history is important for all.
Oh, I think it's such a wonderful opportunity for us to focus on the stories that we want to tell about who we are and our contributions from the past. Those stories have often gone unwritten and haven't been told necessarily very broadly.
People in the Aboriginal community welcome the good news, but wish it had happened sooner.
It's about darn time.
I'm very happy about it because there's so much Aboriginal people here and nobody really knows anything about Aboriginal people.
With the decision just made, there's no way to put Aboriginal History Month into place for this year, but Big Eagle says it should be up and running next June. Natanis Paipot, Inca News, Regina. Welcome back to In the Loop. You wouldn't expect burlesque dancing to be in Regina, but it is, for one show only.
And our Ryan Black had the extreme pleasure of mingling with these young ladies.
From the Moulin Rouge to the Pussycat Dolls, burlesque has been sneaking back into popular culture for some time now. Jeff Poofall's show Caburlesque won Best Show at the 2006 Fringe Festival. Poofall has always loved cabaret and has recently gotten caught up in the burlesque revival, so he was excited by the chance to do a show combining elements from the two.
Well, Caburlesque is not a strip show, and it's not just a music show. It's a blend of artistic dancing and edgy European cabaret. It's the blend of European cabaret with American burlesque in a very classy and saucy mix.
Burlesque started in the 1840s as a popular blend of satire, performance art, and adult entertainment. But by the 1930s, burlesque had been degraded to little more than a striptease. Poofall is excited that burlesque is getting back to its roots.
There's a big burlesque revival happening right now where it's kind of coming back around, and women are taking it back and out of the strip clubs.
The cast of Caburlesque hail from all over Saskatchewan. Leora Godin is new to the cast this year, and she is very encouraged by the public's reaction to the show.
After the performances we've had, people come up and say, Regina needs more of this. Because this is not something that we see every day here, so I think it's a good chance to come out and play for these Regina audiences.
Sharon Nolan, the main character and co-creator of the show, says the show offers a little bit of something for everyone.
Lots of singing, lots of dancing, lots of colorful costumes, glitz and glamour, and just fun. We interact with the audience. We're having a great time up there. The band is amazing. It's a great, fun show. People just have a good time. They walk out smiling, they walk out singing the songs. It's a real feel-good evening.
From here, Caburlesque is headed across nationally through Canada, and later in the year, they'll be joining other burlesque tours in Europe. So if you missed them, be sure to check them out next time. Ryan Black, Inca News, Regina.
This year marks the 40th anniversary of Mosaic and the 35th anniversary for the Aboriginal Pavilion. Over the years, many changes have been made, as Sophie Little Chief Marner explains.
Every year, the drum calls people to the Aboriginal Pavilion at Mosaic, a familiar sight and sound. But this pavilion is not like all the others. It doesn't serve alcohol, something organizers say makes a big difference.
I know there's a lot of people in the community in Regina who said that they don't go to Mosaic anymore because they feel that there's a whole lot of drinking going on.
Sklar says there are cultural reasons pavilion managers also want the site to remain alcohol-free.
Well, the main reason why we don't have alcohol is because in order to have powwow dances, that the elders bless the event, we can't be serving alcohol.
But not serving alcohol means the club has to fundraise before they can even hold the event, and they don't make any additional cash after it's all over.
Mosaic is not a moneymaker for us. It isn't. All funds that we do raise go to just cover our basic needs here, right? And it's all volunteer-based here.
Still, it's not about the money. It's about sharing culture, and the alcohol isn't missed here.
I came to this pavilion because it was one of many pavilions, and this is our country's history.
Dancing's fun, and that's about it. The food's great too.
Right, I think one of the main reasons people come out to Mosaic is because they've heard that it's a great cultural experience, that you can go out and try different foods that you may not find anywhere else in Regina, because we don't have those restaurants that specialize in those ethnic foods, as well as you get all sorts of dance that you wouldn't see anywhere else.
What really makes the pavilion shine is the food and dancing, something not all people get at home, and something that will keep the crowds coming back year after year. For In the Loop, I'm Sophie Little Chief Marner.
Powwows are usually a time for visiting and having fun, but one powwow focuses on educating students. Amber Maxey explains.
Awasasak is the Cree word for children, and giving children from Regina the chance to experience an event like this is what the Awasasak powwow is all about.
A lot of urban children don't have that opportunity to attend powwows outside the city. A lot of them aren't even aware of their own culture. A lot of them never get the opportunity to dance, for one, let alone attend.
Powwow is a celebration of culture and dance, a way of building pride and keeping traditions alive. But this powwow isn't just for First Nations. Now in its 18th year, Awasasak has been teaching children from all cultures about Aboriginal ways of life.
It's learning about each other, learning to respect each other, you know, and learning that there are differences, but at the same time we're one and the same.
The public school board says learning about culture firsthand is often the best way.
Oftentimes we get so caught up in the things that we do in the classroom, and this gives the kids an opportunity to show and exhibit their culture, and it also is an opportunity for our non-Aboriginal students as well to come out and experience First Nations culture that is being provided by their own peers in the classroom. So it's a fantastic event.
This year's event has exceeded all expectations. For the first time, it's centrally located at Regina's Mosaic Stadium, walking distance for those wanting to learn something new. For In the Loop, I'm Amber Maxey.
Learning about culture is important. International student Daryl Chong, who comes from Hong Kong, recently received a lesson in First Nations culture.
I talked up to Elpa helper Rcmp to ask about First Nation culture. I was surprised to discover that some First Nation culture are similar to those of Northern Chinese, especially Mongolia culture. They live nomadic lifestyle and have similar style housing such as the teepee. I was also interested to learn that respecting Mother Earth play an important role in First Nation culture and ceremony. This is Daryl Chong, keeping you in the loop.
You've been watching In the Loop.
Stay tuned because we have more stories coming up. Welcome back to In the Loop. Thanks for watching. I'm Natanis.
And I'm Solomon. Up next, we have a story about honoring the memory of our ancestors. Reba Owach tells us about one community's struggle to preserve this tradition.
Every week, Oconese elder Francis Tucknow drives to the local graveyard to visit his deceased relatives. In the past, the graves were maintained by family members, and every year a larger ceremony would take place called Flower Day. That day was reserved for the entire community to come out as a group. But in recent years, there's been a major decline in attendance at Flower Day, and even fewer families go out and maintain those grave sites. And community members say cultural neglect doesn't end there.
We don't want to lose anything. I don't want my kids to lose, the culture teaching.
But the community does have Tucknow, a man dedicated to keeping this place fit for the ones who've gone on before us.
That I wouldn't want to see when I go, and I want to see this thing fixed up.
Francis has made many personal contributions to this cemetery. The cross, the lawn mowing, and the gates have all been efforts made by Elder Tucknow.
As you look around here, it's kind of sad to see something like this. It is really sad. But hopefully, I hope somebody will hear my cry for help here and give me a hand here.
But Tucknow hopes his efforts will not be the last. From Oconese, keeping you in the loop, I'm Reba Owach.
The award-winning author of the Joan Kilburn murder mystery novels has left the building. Trudy Stewart tells us why.
Gail Bowen plans to spend a lot more time at home. She recently retired from the English department at the First Nations University of Canada and is looking forward to spending more time with her grandchildren. She says it's hard to leave and will miss coming back in the fall.
The time is right, and I think that happens in many things in life. That there just comes a time when this is, it's time to leave on a high note, and I really feel that I am leaving on a high note. That I've had a good run and enjoyed it and enjoyed what I was doing, and it's just time to do something else.
Gail Bowen began her career as an English professor with the newly opened Cultural College, later known as the Saskatchewan Indian Federated College, and so began a 32-year career. At the same time, she began writing the popular Joanne Kilburn mystery series.
And I think what happened was that I was really living, it was good, but for a long time I was really living three lives. I was teaching and I was writing, and primarily I still think of myself as being a mother and grandmother.
One of the people who will miss Bowen is the acting head of the English department, Joanne Piskinu. She considers Gail one of her inspirations.
And she just made it feel like she was like one of us, It wasn't like, oh, the prof. She was Gail and she was ours, and, we loved her. And then I remember reading one of her articles and going, like her academic articles, and going, oh, she's really, really smart.
Bowen is making her exit during a time of controversy for the school, but hopes for better things for the future of the First Nations University of Canada.
I hope that things calm down. I mean, I hope that the politics recedes, and it's been really a difficult time for us for the last 2.5 years, and I hope that cooler heads will prevail, and that the wounds and the fissures that are kind of there will be healed.
Staff and students at the First Nations University of Canada will miss Gail Bowen, but everyone can't wait to see what's next from Gail and Joanne Kilbourne. For In the Loop, I'm Trudy Stewart in Regina.
The Regina campus of the First Nations University of Canada is a building that symbolizes the progress that Indian people have made in post-secondary education in Canada. But in order to finance the construction of the building, the First Nations University signed a 7-year lease with the Department of Indian and Northern Affairs Canada. The top 2.5 floors of the building, which are considered prime real estate, are now occupied by the Department of Indian Affairs.
Indian and Northern Affairs, as you say, leases certain space, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors of this campus building, the Regina campus building, and in return, the university collects approximately $1 million.
INAC enjoys beautiful views, but because they are taking up so much space, the university's president and executive offices were pushed into the basement. INAC says this is the deal that the university administration struck with them.
Hampton, who was president at the time, insisted that his office go in the basement. He's a very humble man, and he saw that the federal government was contributing significantly to the capital investment of this building.
The original 7-year lease runs out in 2009. However, it looks like INAC may extend its stay in the First Nations University building.
I can tell you that First Nations University has met with Indian and Northern Affairs recently, and within the last month or so, and I think we have an agreement in principle from both sides that we will enter into the extensions of that lease through April of 2012.
Thomas Rusin is a student who understands the importance of keeping the First Nations University going, but he looks forward to the day when the students enjoy expanded facilities and services.
If INAC was going to leave, first of all, we're going to need to find a place to get the money that INAC was giving us for the lease, because obviously I think that's one of the biggest reasons why they're here, and that's probably the biggest reason why they'll stay here, is just because they're paying the lease, and until we find the money otherwise, then it would just be unwise for us to kick out our tenants.
The First Nations University is a growing institution that is an international example for Indigenous post-secondary education. For In the Loop, I'm Solomon Sear. One of the founding professors at the First Nations University has been at the center of a dispute involving academic freedom. After 2 years, it's finally over. Carter Situ explains.
2 years ago, Dr. Blair Stonechild was removed from the role of keynote speaker at a conference on education at First Nations University of Canada.
It was surprising because I had fully intended to be able to present the product of research that I had been contracted to do by the Assembly of First Nations, and research that I had done for about a half a year.
It was especially surprising for Stonechild because academic freedom is an important part of university jurisdiction.
Academic freedom is a principle by which professors at universities have the right to, talk about things that they research and talk about their knowledge, and instruct their students in professional ways, in which they can express their opinions openly without fear of censure.
The faculty union quickly got behind Stonechild's case and challenged the university's decision, but it's been a long process.
Well, the Faculty Association filed the grievance 2 years ago against the First Nations University, and the arbitration was heard in March, and that arbitration found in our members' favor, and then the university appealed that decision.
In May, the court rejected the appeal, meaning that Stonechild has finally won his case.
What the grievance signifies to the academic community is that, number one, it's important to stand up for, like your principles, it's important to stand up for your professionalism. If you feel that, that you're being intimidated, for example, by politicians.
Dr. Blair Stonechild is pleased with the course ruling. He is personally using his research to teach a course on First Nation post-secondary education policy. I'm Carter Situ, keeping you in the loop.
Stay with us.
We've got more stories coming up.
Welcome back. You've been watching In the Loop. I'm Solomon.
And I'm Natanis. It's a blending of two worlds. Christian Moreno is combining his Guatemalan ancestry with First Nations culture to create new art. Janelle Mandes brings us the story.
Art is a passion for Christian Moreno. He has been painting since he was a child in Guatemala. Now he's leaving his mark in Saskatchewan, and the province has been leaving a mark on him.
The talent that was given to me was painting, so I'm just exploring it and still exploring and trying different things. And now that I'm in Canada, I'm experiencing a different mixture of perspectives that I want to put in a canvas or any sort of visual material.
Moreno moved to Regina from Guatemala in the summer of 2002 to join other family members. He became a student at the First Nations University the next year and was introduced to First Nations culture, heritage, and artistic traditions. He decided to blend Mayan and Cree images and traditions in his artwork to achieve something that reflects the inspiration he receives from both traditions.
Coming here and knowing about the First Nations people in Canada and seeing what achievement they have reached, it inspired me a lot, and it gave me a lot of motivation to follow such achievement,
This painting was inspired by the late elder Beatrice LaValle. Moreno says she was like a mother to him. She introduced him to First Nations culture.
She talked to me about the First Nations culture here, and that's when I put everything in this piece that it's now hanging at the First Nations University.
Like many artists, Moreno has a day job here at the First Nations University store called Cookin' Bees after his friend Beatrice LaValle. He has also been selling his art for as much as $1,000 for one piece. Professor Joanne Goodpipe bought a piece of Moreno's artwork and says it's extremely meaningful to her.
I love it. His artwork is exceptional.
Moreno was asked by the university to create a painting that represented the school. He says LaValle explained how the buffalo and the eagle symbolizes education and strength in the First Nations culture. He says he feels honored and very thankful to be given the chance to contribute to this vision.
They believed in me. They believed in my willing to remain in Canada, and they believed in the dreams that I wanted to follow.
Moreno's passion is art. He's pursuing a degree in business administration. He says he plans to keep on painting and to keep on learning about Aboriginal culture. In Regina, I'm Janelle Mandes, and you're in the loop.
For people living with HIV/AIDS, having a feeling of stability is critical. Now there is a place in Regina that they can call home. Penny Smoke explains.
It's been 4 years in the making, and soon people living with HIV, AIDS, and hepatitis C will have a new home. Red Ribbon Place is a joint project developed by All Nations Hope and AIDS Program South Saskatchewan. Margaret Aiken is the Executive Director of All Nations Hope.
So Red Ribbon Place is really a dream, like I said before, of our organizations to make a place in society that cares about the individuals that we work with. It's going to be there's services and programs from both organizations that are going to be available to the residents. It's a transitional housing unit, so they can stay up to a year, but we'd like them to get stable and move into more long-term housing that's safe and affordable. So we know that when we moved to Fifth Avenue, this is where we needed to be. We decided that this is where our clients live, this is where people who are accessing our services and programs live. This is where we need to be.
Red Ribbon Place has an open door policy. It's not just for people with serious illnesses, it's for people who need support in their lives.
You don't have to have HIV, AIDS, or hepatitis C to live in the units. You just have to be homeless and be at risk.
Christine Smith is the Executive Director of AIDS Program South Saskatchewan.
Well, we're very excited. I mean, it's wonderful to be right next door and to see it going up and to see each stage as it happens, and we're so thrilled about it.
Residents will have access to support services that address addiction, crisis, employment, health, and family. Red Ribbon Place will be opening here at the end of August. But it's not just a place to call home. It'll be a place that will offer support services to help promote healthy living, as well as incorporating the medicine wheel into its daily activities. Not only will give people a home, but it will also give people a sense of hope and a feeling of belonging. For In the Loop, I'm Penny Smoke.
Well, that's our show. I'm Natonis Piepot.
And I'm Solomon Sear.
We hope you've enjoyed our stories and that they've helped
keep you in the loop.
Barino's passion is for art. Oh wait. Barino's passion is art. Don't laugh.
I'm Amber Maxey. Up next,
From Salt and Pepper. No. I can't.
But he's also pursuing a degree in business administration. He says he's... I know. I know. I forgot.
Okay, I'm Sophie Little Chief Marner, and I have a story on how staying with tradition is paying off at Mosaic, and I'll do it all over again.
Let me know if I'm making a face, okay? Okay, because I know I make a strange face. Hey, you guys be quiet, please. Thank you.
I know. Okay.
I'm Sophie Little Chief Marner, and I have a story on how staying with tradition is paying off at Mosaic. Sorry.
I'm Jesse Robson, and later on in the show, we'll check out File Hill's First Nations Police Service.
I don't know what I'm saying.
What's the story about?
Mosaic!
You're right. What's the first word? Okay. Okay. Ready? No.
In Regina, I'm Janelle Mandis, and you're in the loop. Woo!
Celebration. Why can't I get it? It's one line.
I'm Conor Situ, keeping you in the loop.